Houston Gospel Conversations. I'm your host, Larry W. Robinson, and this conversation is powered by GospelUpdates.com as well as Houston Gospel Events, the mobile app. Download it today. If you're watching from abroad and you're ever coming through Houston, Houston Gospel Events mobile app is the app that you want to use to find out the great happenings in the world of gospel in Houston, Texas. My guest now.
What's going
He's
on?
so famous. The one and only Anthony Hall is with me. He's a singer, a songwriter, producer, and he's the co-owner of Vegan Bay Music Group. And his latest single or release is Friendsgiving.
Yeah.
Now, before we get to Friendsgiving, I want to talk about this project. This is where I first met you on Roosevelt.
For sure.
And it's like one of my favorites. It's such a, how can I say, diverse collection of music.
Yeah.
Would that be fair?
Yeah. You know, Roosevelt, my grandfather was named Roosevelt. He was a guitar player. And I was a weird kid, you know, and it's because I had this gift of writing and music in me, and I didn't know how to get it out. My dad's a jazz musician in New Orleans. And so he was the one who sat me down and taught me how to write songs. And so I wanted to pay homage to him with my first record, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't, you know, even be doing music at all. And so it's an eclectic kind of record, you know. His favorite artist was James Brown. Oh, wow. And so we got like a lot of funk in there, a lot of Prince vibes, you know, some New Jack. And so I just wanted to, you know, there's a lot of worship albums. There's a lot of, you know, a lot of people do praise and worship and stuff, and I was a worship leader and all that. But I wanted to do an album that was fun.
I was just going to say, this is a fun record.
Yeah. I wanted people to come to the show and experience God in a different way. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, and it's always important to find your own lane. You know, and so I think the lane of like worship and that kind of thing, there are a lot of great people who do those things, and that's really not my natural style of music, you know what I'm saying? And so I just didn't want to do that because I thought that would win. I wanted to be authentic to myself and my sound. And I grew up listening to James Brown, listening to Prince, listening to Teddy Riley do his New Jack thing, and I wanted to approach it differently and not do a gospel album that was funk, but I wanted to do a funk album that was gospel. And so that's where you get the authenticity of the sound of that record. And so when I play it, you know, I think it's progressive.
It really is.
But a lot of times progressive albums, we think in gospel that it has to be hip hop or that it has to have R&B vibes. But we forget that there are a lot of middle-aged and older age people too that want to feel the way that they felt when they first heard, you know, Marvin Gaye or Earth, Wind & Fire and that kind of thing, but they want to do that in a spiritual way. And so I think my uniqueness is I paid attention to that aspect, and so the album reflects all of those vibes for everyone.
So my first live experience, seeing you, I got invited to your studio.
Yeah.
Jason Nelson was there. Who else was there?
Dawkins and Dawkins.
T. Mills came down.
Tamil was there, man. Who else? Crystal Aiken was there. Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, you know, a large part of who I am as a gospel artist is my live show. So the same band that did the album, we cut the album live in studio. And so the same band that cut the album is the band that I tour and travel with. Okay. And it's just, you know, like I said, fun, man. You come to the show, there's something for everybody. We go to church. We go to Augusta, Georgia and do the James Brown thing. We go to Minnesota, do the Prince thing, you know. And it's just, you know, we call it a vibe. You know, that's what the young folks call it. You know.
Now, I believe that there's still life in this Roosevelt record.
Yes.
But I heard that you got a new project titled Friendsgiving.
Yeah, Friendsgiving. You know, it went for pre-order today. And we released a song with your pre-order with me, Zacordi Cortez, and Corey Henry. And so that record is my take on a holiday project. So that's how they kind of live in the same space.
Gotcha.
But I just didn't want to do Christmas music. You know, everybody do Christmas music. And you do a Christmas song, it only lives for 30 days. I think it's a waste of money, you know.
Unless it's Now Behold the Lamb.
Unless it's Now Behold the Lamb. You know what I'm saying? But you got to think of when most of the Christmas music we listened to came out in the 90s. It didn't come out anytime soon. You know what I'm saying? So most Christmas music that has come out recently, it's leave it and forget it. But we listened to the Kirk Franklin album, Donny Hathaway, and it ain't Christmas until you hit them Temptations. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so,
you got me thinking.
Vanessa Bell, yeah. And so those are all '90s, early 2000s records, you know. And so I wanted to do a holiday project. But I named it Friendsgiving because I call all my friends, you know,
Gotcha.
a lot of them. I have, you know, more friends, but, you know, it features Jason Nelson, Zacardi, Corey Henry, Keandra Lockett is on the record. JoJo Martin is on the record.
Oh, I love
you know, and so it's an album with duets, and so it's just reminiscent of when you have your Friendsgiving gathering at home and you invite all your friends
So
over.
we can actually start playing it now all
Yeah,
through the new year.
absolutely through the new
love
year,
it.
and it lives after that, you know. And
love
so it's just a record where you just get, you know, catch those vibes and y'all dance, have a good time during the holiday season. You know, we didn't really listen to Christmas music when my mom was cooking, you know, Thanksgiving dinner. She would put on, you know,
Smokey. And,
oh yeah, or the you know. Oh, I can't think of the name of that record. They had the song called "Shoop" on that with Whitney Houston.
the Preacher's Wife. song.
Yeah, all that. You know, we would listen
Yeah.
to all that. You know, and that was the things that we listened to. So
love
that's
it.
it's that vibe. So.
All right. So I'm curious, how does it feel to have industry veterans such as, and you mentioned them, Jason Nelson and even Dawkins and Dawkins kind of put a stamp of approval on your music?
It's humbling. You know, I'm 40. And I've been doing,
You're not 40.
I'm
Stop
40
that.
years old, man. I'm 40 years old. I've been doing music since I was, you know, 15, 16 years old. And so I thought my time had passed.
Really?
And so I thought that it was too late. You know, I just was gonna be behind the scenes, you know, trying to produce, write, whatever, had some wins and losses in that field. And so to put out my first record and have people that don't tour, and that's the important thing. I think people don't get it. Dawkins and Jason, they're not going a lot of places with a lot of people. Like they, you know, put out their records, they move on to their own beat. They don't have to. And so just the fact that they wanted to go on tour and back me, and then you got to think about me doing my show in front of the greatest singers of all time, Eric Dawkins, Anson Dawkins, and Jason Nelson. That's a humbling experience. You know what I'm saying? And so
Well, I'm curious, what did you learn?
that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
What I learned, I couldn't have paid for. That's how valuable it was. The biggest thing that I learned on the tour was it's okay. Calm down and know when to get off the stage.
Let the church say amen.
So I did one show, man, and Jason walked up, and we did SOBs in New York, and Israel Houghton was there, like dancing and stuff, and I just like kind of froze a little bit, you know? And then after the show, he was like, yo, you got it. Calm down, it's cool. Just sing the
And
song
that sound
and
like
get off the stage,
Yeah.
and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And when I learned that, my show went
Wow.
everywhere, you know, and so it's just, man, it's just amazing. Humbling is the answer to that.
So now you're a singer,
Yeah.
you're a songwriter, but then you're also a producer.
Yes.
So when you work with artists, I'm curious, what are you looking for?
You know, authenticity and uniqueness. I'm not interested in making the next of anything. You know, I don't want the next Maverick City. I don't want the next Karen Clark Sheard. I don't want the next, you know, Kiera. I don't want the next J Moss. I want you know? And so we kind of took that angle when we selected the artists for our label. Just so happened they all are like friends and things like that. We all became family. But if you look like a Tatiana Barnett, she's unique. If you listen to that album, it's unique to her sound and who she is. You know, Michael Dixon, he has an album that's out that's about healing and about therapy and things like that. And so one thing that we promoted with our artists that's on our label was we wanted each of them to do what they wanted to do. And so when Nikita walked in, the reason why she signed, well, she could have signed with anybody. She signed with us because we were the first people to say, what do you want to do? Who are you? And she's like, I want to do a jazz album. And most labels would have been like, no, you're gonna squall on this record all day. But we was like, no, we want you to be who you are and do what you want to do because that's how we get the best product out of somebody. So that's what I'm looking for. Like I want to find out who you are, and then I'm really good at pulling out that out of somebody.
That's good. Well, speaking of that, you mentioned it's the V Bagan Music Group.
Yes.
So give me a rundown of I know you said Nikita.
Yeah, so we have Nikita, we have Michael Dixon, DJ Lowry has an amazing maxi single coming out. Tatiana Barnett is on the label.
Okay.
Dominic Sy is on the label. We have a Latin artist. His name is Andreas. He's on the label. If I'm forgetting somebody, let me know because I get nervous about that. And then we do this group project every year called The Collective. It's like a worship
that's what
project
I
that we do.
first heard.
Yeah, so we
Okay.
do The Collective, and this year we're partnering with Linnell Grant, who's the Toby and Wigway's producer, and we're doing a hip hop version of that. My guys are back there. We got to talk, but yeah, we are working on that as well, man. And so look out for some great things from us, man. We're quickly kind of making things happen.
Gotcha. So how can people connect with all things Anthony Hall as well as the record label?
Yes, so all things Anthony Hall, you can go to officialanthonyhall.com. And that's my website. You can find out everything about me or Anthony Hall on all social media. I am Anthony Hall on Instagram, and YouTube is Anthony Hall. We just released a series of music videos. And then for Vegan Bay, the studio is Vegan Bay Studios on all platforms. VeganBayStudios.com. That's
And spell your version of Vegan Bay.
VGNBAE Studios. We didn't want any copyright issues.
got
You know what I'm
you, I
saying? Or Vegan Bay Music Group.
All right. Anthony Hall, thank you
Hey
for being
man,
a
thank
guest.
you for having me, man. I appreciate you opening your platform.
Bless you, sir.
For us.
All right, Anthony Hall, check him out on all digital music streaming services, and stay tuned for more Houston Gospel Conversation.
Celebrated media personality Larry W. Robinson presents Gospel Updates. Gospel Updates is the who, what, when, why, and where in the gospel music industry. Gospel Updates is a monthly magazine, weekly newsletter, video webcast, as well as a podcast. Gospel Updates has over 25 years of featuring people in the gospel music community. Gospel Updates magazine and the new Gospel Updates weekly newsletter document those who are continuing to help shape and write new chapters of this ever-evolving story of gospel. Go to www.gospelupdates.com. That's www.gospelupdates.com to get the latest issues. If you want to be featured, call or text 337-214-4046 or email gospelupdates@gmail.com for rates and details. Gospel Updates, featuring people in the gospel community for over 25 years.